We are in person and in the holiday spirit.
That's right. That's right.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Let's mistletoe.
Exactly.
What is mine? Holidays?
There you
Yeah,
go.
yours is-
You're Merry
yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Holly jolly.
Holly jolly.
We're ready to go. We're ready for the holiday.
So Ray lives in Colorado. Jason and I both live in Katy, Texas. And Ray is in town. So we decided to actually see each other in person for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never done an in-person show in
Yeah.
the 2.5 years we've been doing this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this was an opportunity to like get together and do our holiday show.
That's right.
You know, Michael Bublé, Kelly Clarkson.
Are you going to sing?
No, I won't sing, but everybody does a holiday show, so this is our holiday
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
So,
That's right. Christmas vacation all over. again.
yeah,
There we go. There we go.
Chevy Chase for that.
And if you'll notice, the guys are in shorts, and I wore boots for Ray because he's back in Texas.
That's right.
So I thought I'd
Right,
get a
right.
little Texas for you.
Well, it is only 82 degrees here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sitting with Christmas
And
balls,
then
Yeah.
let me
having a
little
Christmas
sleigh.
tree, so.
Yeah.
So today we decided to talk about how to transition from remote to in-person. And a lot of companies have been doing this and doing it kind of slowly, but you had even mentioned that you had someone talk to you about how to transition an employee rapidly.
Yeah. No, it is very front and center. One of our CEOs that we work with on the Bay Area, they're sitting there with, $100,000 a month of, rent that they're paying on offices. And their question to us was, how can we get our employees back in the office? And so we spent a good, 40 minutes talking to their HR leader about, things to do to entice folks to come back into the office. And you can't just mandate, you got to be here 3 days a week, and come in and do Zoom calls, 3 days a week. So it's really, there's a big struggle happening out there right now with folks figuring out how to do that. So
I said beg, but that wasn't.
So we have a cat at our feet who's coming
Yeah,
in. Come
there
here,
you go.
baby. Come on.
This is a live shot in a home. Actually, in a
Come
home. That's not
on.
it's not a
Is there
not a Hallmark set.
So what if you had like an office cat
Uh-huh.
that could be like a support animal for folks that are leaving their homes and having to go back in the office? They could maybe bring their pet, or one of my very best friends is a local newscaster,
Here comes the cat.
and she did COVID for so long from home remotely. And when it was time for her to go back in, her dog lost his ever-loving mind. Like, he didn't know what to do with himself. He started eating stuff he never did before. He started acting out because he didn't have his person with him
Right.
anymore. And he had like intense anxiety of being away from an individual, right?
Right.
What are we going to do?
Well, I think that what's going to happen is that the economy's going to take a little bit of a step back. Employers are going to say, "Hey, come back in," and then as soon as the economy turns around a little bit, people are going to say, "Nope, not doing it. Working back at home." I don't think that we'll ever be able to fully go back to where we were. It's just not going to happen. People don't want to do it. People aren't interested in doing it, and they're all going to figure out ways or companies that will allow them to work remotely. If you look at Cisco, excuse me, if you look at Cisco and all of the office space, if you've ever been to San Jose, you'll see that they had so many buildings down Tasman Drive. Well, as you know, Cisco has gone to fully remote. If you want to be fully remote, you can do that. Or if you want to work in an office, you can't. But they have transitioned most of their office space, sold it, or sublet it, and Google has taken up a lot of it. So I just don't think that we're going to see people working the way they were before. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. And we had our office company dinner last night, and we were talking about how employees a lot of times these days are kind of like making their own rules, which to me sounds horribly obscene. Like, I've never in my life had my boss call a meeting at 9 a.m. and me say, "Nope, too early, not showing up." Like, who does that? But apparently people are doing
A
that
lot
now.
of people are doing that if they have to come into the office. A lot of people are trying to call their own shots and make it difficult for employers to bring people back in.
Yeah, no, and a lot of the things that we're hearing from our clients is really around, what kind of work is meaningful in the office, that employees really want, they want to be in the office to do it. And what we're telling them is, look, I mean, use the time in the office to connect with other folks on your team. Use it to collaborate and work on projects together, because that's really where there is a ton of value. Use the time, encourage people to come in to talk about their performance and their development. Those are the things people really value. But don't use the time to come in and get on Zoom calls in a phone booth. Because that's what people are doing, and employers have got to figure that out. But the other thing too is, with one of our clients, they're saying, well, we wanted to have 2 or 3 days mandatory in the office, but some of our employees live 2 hours away. That's, it's tough to tell people, we want you to spend 4 hours commuting so you can be in the office for 6 or 8 hours.
Yeah, if you have employees that are working 2 hours away, those should be fully remote jobs. There's just no way that you can do a commute. I mean, when it was a different world and everybody was forced to come into an office and things were different, and that was basically not a proven science that we could work effectively remotely. Sure, you want to work 2 hours away, or live 2 hours away rather. You were going to deal with that, but I don't think anymore that was reasonable. And those people are going to quit. So if you have people that you really like and they work far away, they're going to leave. So people are going to opt out. So you have to be prepared that you're going to have significant attrition. And if you're okay with that attrition and you want to start driving people to be closer to your office building or your headquarters, which probably is going to cost you more money in the long run, because usually headquarters are in fairly robust locations where rent's expensive because you're in a mass concentration of people. You're sort of back to that whole thing of people are going to cost more money, and we got office space, your expenses are going to go up, and blah 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 blah. So you're kind of self-perpetuating everything that you had before, which is, if you're okay with that, that's fine. But I just don't think that's what our employees want in the long run. Look, there was an article that just came out recently that millennials and younger employees, they don't want to go out to dinner. They don't want to do team dinners.
Yes.
That they're upset about that because it's time away, and they have to go talk to people that they don't like from work, or they have to talk about work things. So you can't even get people to want to go to a team dinner. How the heck are you going to get people to come in and work 3 or 4 days or 5 days a week in an office? I mean, there's some different times, and we need to adapt.
It really is.
Why are we getting music? Did your Google just turn on music?
No, it's fine. That's fine. We're in a working day.
That's a great ringtone, by the way, Elizabeth.
Oh, gosh, that's great. That's great.
So when my husband worked in oil and gas, and that industry is so cyclical, so many ups and downs, and layoffs, and changes, and when we moved back from, we lived in the UK. When we moved back from the UK, we were trying to figure out what part of town we wanted to live in, and he said, well, maybe we should move closer to the office, find a house close to the office. And I'm like, not in oil and gas, babe, because chances are that office isn't going to last that long, and you'll still have to do the hour and a half commute one way or the other, so let's live where we want to live. We'll figure out the getting to the work.
Well, that would be pretty state-of-the-art thinking, because most people always say, let's live close to work.
Yeah.
And now that thinking is gone to, let's live where we're going to be happy. So that you were ahead of the curve there.
That's me, trendsetter.
Exactly.
Boom.
Definitely were ahead of the curve.
No, it is. I mean, even where I live in Denver, I would say easily, 70% of the folks in our neighborhood work remote, work from home.
Yeah.
And people have gotten accustomed to what I see them at 8:15 every morning, walking their kids to school right from my house. Same thing at 3:00. They're walking to pick up their kids and bring them back home. So it's really, really hard. To tell people you can't do that anymore with your family, and that's going to be a real challenge for employers, a really, really big challenge. And even with one of our clients, the person that we were talking to, when I mentioned, don't you appreciate your family more now? Don't you appreciate being able to spend time with them after school and take them to school and everything we were saying is like, oh yeah, I love doing that now. I really appreciate it.
I was waiting for him to go, nope, I want to be away from my family. Get me, I'm out of here.
No.
There's a few people like that too, but
I'm going to be working overtime because I have a family at home
That's the definition of a loaded
yes,
question.
that's right. They still have little kids. The kids are small.
Oh, yeah.
So you still like to
Wait till they're teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit different.
Well, we also have our end of the year newsletter coming out, which we'll be sending out, and it'll be available to read on our website or on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about the things that we see coming up for the next 6 months and for probably the next 12 months for sure.
And you guys are pretty bang on with your predictions. I mean, we're gonna do an end of year wrap show coming up shortly, but we're gonna compare sort of our predictions from last year and see how they've sort of phased through. Yeah,
there was a lot of interesting things happened, and I think in a short period of time. Obviously, we started talking about crypto, and wow, crypto has been a journey just into itself for everything that's gone on with crypto. We have an article coming out about FTX and better compliance and how that could have helped potentially FTX and some of the other crypto companies that got caught up in the FTX situation.
Yeah, and I think we're also going to be talking a lot next year about how employees can balance their lives. We're starting to see a lot of folks out there that are kind of getting sandwiched in. They've got aging parents, they've got kids at home, and in some cases they're responsible for taking care of both sides of the equation, and that's a tough balance. And so we're really going to start talking a lot more about that and how organizations can help employees, families, and folks cope with all the challenges that come up with in our new environment.
Yeah, that's becoming a real burning topic. Is how do we help people deal with that? And the other thing is deglobalization, which people are like, wait a minute, weren't we just talking about globalization? Deglobalization is going to be happening and talked about quite a lot in terms of the pullback of things that we have put, into manufacturing in other countries and other companies that we're going to pull back and start to put into the U.S. So, how do you manage pulling, a business back into the U.S.? How do you manage the manufacturing? How do you find the people? Well, you're struggling to find the people. Do you train people? Do you try to hire? Do you try to train? What do you do? So deglobalization is going to be a fairly significant thing that we're going to start to see as it impacts pharma and cars and manufacturing and chips and everything else. So we're going to have a lot to say about that over this next year. But it's been an interesting year, and I think one of the things that I'll say is I just really shocked at the amount of quick change that's happened. Things have just changed on a dime.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And technology's changed on a dime. We've talked about, I come from a sports television background, and during COVID, we talked about it before, we learned in that industry to adapt to a remote workspace where we have half the amount of cameras. We have one show instead of a visitor show and a home show, and half the amount of employees there. And then we remotely send all the camera views out, and then they're edited live in studio somewhere else. So we've cut our workforce. In fact, Major League Soccer is now going into that in the upcoming year. It's all going to be broadcast from one singular network as opposed to a home network, like the Houston Dynamo being from, in the Houston, and then the San Francisco team is, has their own camera. That's not going to happen anymore. So that industry has rapidly adapted to all of the things that came from COVID.
Yeah, and that's going to continue. I mean, we see that happening on the recruiting side. We see that happening on, what employees are expecting from their employers. And we also see that happening in our consulting business, because organizations really are struggling on how to get things done. So they're really looking at creative ways to quickly, get things accomplished and kind of roll them out, because this is no longer a 3 to 6 months to do this and plan it. This is more 2 to 4 weeks. You got to get it done and implemented. So we're seeing a lot of that happening too, and that's going to continue.
And luckily, those are the types of projects that you guys can handle
Yeah, exactly.
for your customers.
So
When
true.
do I
So
get to
true.
purchase the game that I want, the NFL game I want to watch on Sunday? When, without having, I just want to buy the game that I want to watch. Why do I have to?
Why do you have to watch the local game?
Why am I being forced
Yeah.
to watch the local game, or I'm being forced to watch DirecTV and buy the whole package?
Yeah.
There's just games I want to watch. Can't we do something about this?
Okay, we're putting out a plea.
First world problems.
Yeah.
Putting out a
We don't
plea.
talk about technology changing things. Yes, I just want to pay for 49 games. That's all I want to do.
So Jason is a huge 49ers fan, and unfortunately, he lives in Houston, and we
Yeah.
don't get the 49ers
Yeah,
from
not
our
very often.
Not very often. No, just the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, the same highlights over and over and over
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
Jason's
exactly.
gonna piece them all together
I
as if
have
it were
to,
one
if
game.
I want to watch a game, I'd have to watch the Texans, and that's really like torture at this point.
Yeah. Same thing in Denver. I got to watch the Broncos, and
Yeah.
are much better. So
Well, my husband was
tough.
talking
It's
about
tough.
the Texans game this weekend. He's like, babe, Texans lost. They lost big. I go, what's the, because I don't really pay attention unless I'm working a
Yeah.
game. And he, we were talking about the record, and I go, oh, but that means we've got really good draft picks this season.
yeah, that's all they're talking about in sports radio.
Pick something
Yeah.
that stays around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
So, well, thank you guys for joining us today in our in-home, Jason's beautiful home studio. Elizabeth, great job on the decorations.
Happy holidays and happy New
Yeah.
Year. And I think we're going to be on. We'll probably repeat next the week of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, but the week of Christmas will be on repeat. I think we'll do a new show next week talking about predictions for next year. But thank you for all the support. Continue to tell people about our show, and we're in our company, and we're looking forward to working with all of you.
Yep, and it's
All right.
thrivehrconsulting.com.
Yep,
Yeah.
Thrive, and Jason at thrivehrconsulting.com.
and Ray at thrivehrconsulting.com.
Excellent. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you for
Okay,
joining.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.